Hi, I'm Samuel Hollywood Summers, a composer and sound designer based in Exeter in the United Kingdom. Today I'm going to be carrying on with my project Emotional Response, which is a piece of generative interactive music that responds to the audience's facial expressions through facial recognition and produces music that matches the emotions that are being expressed. So far I've already done the disgust emotion in depth. I've set up the generative music system in general and how it will switch between the different emotions, and now it's time for me to move forwards onto the next emotion. Now we're back in lockdown. It's the second UK sort of full lockdown, and alongside the pandemic that we're living through, there's been a lot of pretty horrendous things that have happened this year, personal and for everyone. And I wanted to continue with the negative emotions, so dealt with disgust, moving on to anger, and try and channel those feelings of anger into something creative. What I want to do is similar to what was done with Disgust, which is that I want to select a bunch of sounds, musical instruments, timbres that evoke anger inherently in the way that they sound. I then want to take those sounds, whether I'm recording them, designing them, collecting them together. I want to take those sounds and then start to produce musical gestures, little snippets of music, little phrases or passages that can then be constructed into a larger piece of generative music that is not going to be just linear. The idea is that with generative music is that there are elements that are outside of the composer's control. So me as the composer, I will be setting up systems. Similarly to the disgust section, randomness will be employed to invite in decision-making processes that I am not in control of. And it's possible I'll use other processes as well, but that hasn't been decided upon. Once I have all these musical gestures, I will put them into Fmod, which is the audio middleware that I'm using to take this musical material, the source material, and invite those random processes in, invite those generative processes in. Similar to with the disgust section, I'm also inviting in decision making that is not my own, in that I'm again asking for people to suggest sounds that evoke the emotion I'm discussing. So with disgust, it was disgust. Now I want you to tell me, and I'm also searching in other areas, but I want you to tell me what sounds do you find evoke anger? What kind of sounds would you associate with feeling angry, and how might you express anger sonically with a sound? So any sounds associated with anger, drop them in the comments below. Once I've got that material, it gets put into Fmod. I construct the generative processes that will be creating more variation and getting more out of this source material and combining it in interesting, novel, interesting ways that are determined by the software, by randomness, by any other processes that I invite into that, but not predetermined by me. That's the key thing. This is what makes it a piece of generative music. Once that's all done, I then want to compare this section with disgust. I want to make sure that the disgust section stands out as being more disgusting than anger, and I want the anger section to stand out as being more angry than the disgust section. I want to make sure that each section is doing what it's supposed to and evoking the emotion that it's intended to. Beyond that, I'll then be moving on to some happier emotions, some more positive emotions, because we've all been through a lot this year, and it would be nice to have a bit of light at the end of the tunnel. So happiness is on the horizon, but this is the journey that I want to be taking us through. So yeah, evoking anger through music that's going to have generative elements in. You can influence the decisions that I make, the decisions that go into choosing the sounds, what kind of musical expressions or gestures or musical characteristics belong in angry music. You can suggest to me examples of music that you think epitomizes angry music. To me, certain elements of hip hop, metal, heavy rock, punk, there's a lot of anger in those types of genres. But maybe there's things that I haven't thought of, a piece of classical music that you think is particularly angry, or anything else. I'd love to hear it, so please do comment below. And you can hit subscribe to follow along with the journey for this project and all of the other sound and music stuff that I do on this channel. So yes, thank you for joining for this particular section of the journey, and I hope to see you in the next one. Cheers. Oh, lovely. Oh, I should have made a bad cup, and then I could have been angry at the foul taste or something. Never mind. Opportunity missed. Angry with myself now.